I really believe strongly in the promise that we make to our customers. I really believe our purpose here is to take care of people in their time of need, to deliver on that promise. To be able to be a part of helping somebody in a difficult situation is really personally rewarding. I don't get to walk on the roofs and I don't get to see the people, and I'm real proud of the people that get to. They do a tremendous job for us. But to be a part of that process is rewarding. And to know technology plays some part in that makes it better. I'm Mike Rowell. I'm Chief Information Officer and Senior Vice President of Strategic Initiatives of Alfa Insurance Companies. Alfa is a company that grew out of the Farmers Federation system. This is our 75th anniversary and we're a proud member of that federation. We grew out of farmers, so we grew out of all the small towns in Alabama and grew into the urban areas, and service is our key. And our agency force and what they do for our customers is vital. We have to do business against some really big companies. Alfa's a large organization, we're over $1 billion, but we do business against the big boys. And so we see technology as a way to level that playing field. We view technology as a way to get in, offer the same service, the same technology, and the same features to our customers that any other company could. Prior to Lyft, we had a lot of different systems, a lot of different things going on, and knowing our customer well enough to do that was nearly impossible. So the gist, as the name implies with Lyft, leveraging information for technology for tomorrow, it comes from servicing our customers.
So Mike, thanks for joining us today. In a moment, we're going to continue our discussion on Alfa's digital transformation, but I would be remiss if before we did that I did not congratulate you on your CIO of the Year award for the Enterprise CIO for the state of Alabama in 2020. Congratulations on your well-deserved honor.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. And you and EY were a big part of that along with our folks back at Alfa.
Thank you so much.
I just took the trophy. I didn't do much.
It was an honor to be there with you.
Thank you.
Obviously, it was a very competitive process back when you were choosing a systems integrator, and we were both honored, and it was a privilege to be part of that journey all along the way. What was it that made Alfa determine, hey, we're a great organization, but we could use some help in doing this, and how have we helped you along the way?
We knew with the speed that we were going to move at. Our initial project was 3 years to do policy claims and billing in 3 states with all the lines of business. To do something that big and have a new data warehouse and have a new rating system, we knew we had to have someone to help us move at a very fast pace that we'd not worked at before. We also knew with Guidewire, we needed somebody with technical skills we didn't have. We were an old COBOL shop, like a lot of companies that are out there. So having folks that were acclimated to the new languages and new processes was vital.
Alfa has an incredibly unique business model with their purpose is working with their customers to make their lives better during some unfortunate incidents. So what EY has worked with them is to make sure that the technology that supports that enables those outcomes for their clients, because the first and most important thing is making sure those people go on with their lives after an accident or other unfortunate incident. But in addition to that, we've also worked with them on some change management, adoption, some digital transformation that's specific to how they interact with their agents and customers as well. What was the catalyst for moving forward with this new leading edge technology? A few years ago, Alfa said, we need to do a transformation. What was the rationale behind that?
Rob, we had so many systems. 16 different systems for all these different lines of business. We had different people working on different pockets of the programs, and it just wasn't sustainable. We knew that to get to market as quickly as we needed to and to know as much as we needed to know about our customer, we had to do things differently. And at that point, it became obvious we needed to go outside, that we needed to buy software instead of continue to build. Build wasn't sustainable. So we selected Guidewire through a very vigorous process and went down that road. A big catalyst, though, was knowing our customers better and providing better service for our customers.
My name is Rob Dietz. I am a partner in EY's IT technology consulting practice. I'm also part of the senior leadership team for our practice that supports our Guidewire global practice, but it is also my privilege to be the client partner responsible for all of EY's relationship with Alfa Insurance Company. So first, let's just say Alfa was not unique in that challenge of being an incredibly successful company that has built up an IT infrastructure over time that becomes decentralized, a lot of systems that don't talk to each other. What that creates is a lot of process inefficiencies, data disparities, and the inability to be flexible and adaptive as times change. There's a perspective out in the marketplace now that when anyone does business with any company, they expect the same experience. So what Lyft does is it enables Alfa to deal with its clients how they want to be dealt with, in the manner which they want to be dealt with, and when they want to be dealt with. What Alfa has done a tremendous job on is taking that technology platform and enable the communication to the agents. The agents are a differentiating factor for Alfa. Those people out in the field is really the heart of the distribution for Alfa. But they need at the same time to have the ability to work with customers differently and in new ways than perhaps they've done it historically. What did you think when you were deciding on Guidewire? What were some of the biggest challenges that you knew would help solve for you?
You know, the quality of the data and the speed of change that came with it. The Guidewire tool, and one thing that always spoke to us was it was a property and casualty insurance tool. That's what it was built for. And that was what they specialized in. So we knew we had a partner that knew insurance, and that's fairly unusual in the marketplace. And then the second part of it was the growing need for integrations into the software. Data is not just your internal data, but it's the data that you can match with third parties outside. So it becomes a bigger and bigger part of the process on what type data and the ease of bringing that data into your own system. And Guidewire really had focused in on that part. We knew that we wanted one common data warehouse with all of that information from all the systems together that was a common look and feel. We're doing business against the big boys, and they have huge actuarial staffs, a lot of folks to go through data, and we needed technology to level the playing field for us. And so we needed to get to market quick.
As you bring in new technology, obviously, over time, those technologies will change. There's a lot of things that remain consistent. You need smart people, you need passionate people, you need good people, you need people dedicated to the company. Alfa has all of that 10 times over. The challenge becomes, how can you take people that have been very comfortable with what they've been doing for a number of years and take that same passion and transition it into something that's new to them and may move them into an area that's uncomfortable for them?
Yeah, the technology is a challenge. It's tough to get in, and it's tough to work through. The people are really tough because they have to change what they're used to do and what they're comfortable with. And when we first started, I think there was a genuine concern from our agents that, gosh, this may replace me. This may be something that is a challenge to me. Now that we're into it, I think our agents genuinely see the leads that come to them. They're warm leads. They're people that are actually looking to buy. And we've had several agents come in and go, can you give me more? Can you feed this to us? So it's changing the way we advertise. It's changing the way we position ourselves to a younger audience. And so all of those folks that are involved in that process have to be willing to bend and change. But I think it's been worthwhile and put us in a different position. We're seeing the growth that comes from it. We have data in our systems that say this person has a child that's just started driving, they're 16 years old. Well, if you've got a 16-year-old driver, you need to make sure you've got good coverage. So you may have carried a lower limits in the past, but with that 16-year-old, there's a higher likelihood you're going to have an accident. You need to look at your coverages. Not only that, but you may need an umbrella, one of our policies that does even more coverage. Prior to that, those were two different systems. We had no idea whether you had an umbrella or not, or to give you that advice. Now we've empowered our agents to go in and go, youthful driver, you may want to talk to them about this. This is an opportunity, not just a sales opportunity, but a way to service these people, a way to give them better protection for their livelihood and their net worth.
There's a variety of perspectives as to the value of data. It's the information, turning it into insight, turning it into action, as well as the commodity, as you speak of data, as a value in and of itself. So Alfa has leverage the collection of that data and the hygiene, so to speak, of that data, using the Guidewire tool set, it is now much more concrete, much more actionable than it had been in the past. So when Mike looks at the way we were implementing the systems, he always had data at the forefront. So we talked about the people being the value of Alfa, and unquestionably that's the case. The data underlies how those people can act in certain circumstances. And having that data be more discrete, more reportable, and then having the business intelligence behind it to take that information, turn it into knowledge, turn it into action, turn it into outcomes in that continuum is a huge differentiator. All that is enabled by the better collection, management, and ability to actually use that data, as opposed to it sitting in a data store somewhere as a huge value that was untapped. The potential has been tapped by Alfa, and that has created the ability, not just from a policy perspective, is this now the right policy for people, but how you act upon that data in order to create those policies, be more targeted, more relevant to those folks at a price point that is incredibly competitive as well, to increase market share and the growth of the company, but also to create actions when someone has a claim, to understand better what might happen with that claim before those events actually happen from a predictive perspective.
I got to ask you this. You're from New York. You come to Montgomery, Alabama,
I know where this is going.
and you hear this plan to do all this stuff in 3 years. What was your first thoughts that first couple of months that you were here? Did you think we'd really make it?
A lot of my first thoughts were, I hope I have a return ticket already bought. But at first I thought, this is quite ambitious. But as we went through it, I said, you know what? This is possible if we can line up the right people and the right thought process. And there were some bumps along the way. And so one of the beauty things when I say I became a better human being by working down here with you guys was your comment about coming from New York. I had a little bit of an edge perhaps when I was down here compared to the culture that you brought to the table. So I like to think you didn't need to move, I moved a little closer to you. And my way of thinking became, we need to be direct, but we need to do it in a way that's understandable and empathetic to the other person. I always tried to do that, but I got better at it by being down here, and that's what enabled us to move the ball forward that much quicker.
I think I got a little tougher along the way, so I think we probably met in the middle on that one.
We'll call it from Virginia,
There
right
you
there,
go,
right there
right
in the
there.
middle. So I would say the biggest risk always has to do with the biggest asset, and that's people. With such a change and such a monumental difference in expectations along the way, the greatest thing that enabled this program was the tone from the top. Mr. Parnell, the leader of Alfa, said from day one, we're gonna do things differently, and he backed it up. He said historically, the perspective was everything has to be perfect, and that helped grow the company to what it was at that point in time. And it's still a tremendous company, but his perspective was, we're gonna make sure we get this done, and if it's not perfect, that's okay, as long as it still means we're delivering the value to the customers we need to, and anything else we'll figure out along the way. And so the people risk was mitigated that way. Delivery risk was mitigated by strong governance, strong people in leadership positions, and strong people all the way down everywhere in the program, down and across, where expectations were managed, people would work together, and there was discipline around it. So it wasn't emotional, it became a conversation on this is what we need to do. If we need to diverge from it, we have a process that eliminates finger pointing, which is always a fear in large projects. Is it my fault? Whose fault is it? How do I make sure I'm safe? There was never a perspective of individuals first. It was always the collective. And frankly, it was a privilege for EY to be part of that, because that culture is something that is really quite a pleasure to work with.
Yeah, E&Y's been with us since the beginning of this project back in 2013. They were along for the whole ride for the 3.5 years, and they continue to provide production support to us. I would say the big things there are flexibility and then vision. You know, from the standpoint of flexibility, we operate in Montgomery, Alabama. Technical talent's sometimes hard to find. I can ramp up my teams. I can get a configuration person or an integration person, but it takes me months to find that person, hire them, and get them in here. I can do that in 30 to 60 days with E&Y. I can scale offshore at a more reasonable cost. It gives me a lot of flexibility to accomplish the goals. We can take on a big project, ramp up the resources we need for a period of time, and then bring them back down when that project is finished. The next phase that I would say is they give us what's next. What else do you need to think about? What other insurance companies are out there? this is what they're doing right now. Here's how you can improve. It's hard for us to keep up with all of that in Montgomery, Alabama. Right now, insurance tech, fintech is a big topic. A lot of nimble companies out there doing that type work. E&Y and Guidewire both have areas that really specialize in that. They give us a view and help us understand what partners we need to talk to and bring in here at Alfa.
For me, it was exciting to watch that change, to be part of it, me personally, the whole EY team and Alfa team. Between Alfa and EY and your other partners, at one point probably had 250 people dedicated to it around the globe. That was, I'll go with 250 even if it's higher. But it was impressive because it was really one high-performing team. We had to perform for a long time at a high level of intensity. And the fact that people became closer over time because of that was pretty impressive. When we sat in the BPC, the back building, where we ended up having an open space for 100 people, and everybody still got along at the end of it after working hard for 18 months of sitting in the same room, was an impressive statement on what Alfa brings to the table and how it treats its people. And frankly, other people that are not part of your organization.
You know, after this project, facilities will no longer allow us to bring food in that room. It smells so bad because of all the leftover takeout and pizzas and everything that was in there. No more food.
But at the end of the day, good partnerships are about good relationships.
Right.
So talk to me on the personal level.
Yeah, I don't like Rob Dietz at all. I mean, he's just, sorry. Rob has been instrumental in our project, and he has been a very trusted advisor, and it's personally been great to get to know him and his impact on this organization, see that happen. It's been personally rewarding to see some of our folks grow. It's fun to see people go, I'm not sure that can happen. I'm just really not sure. And to see them take it, lead it, and succeed, and gain that confidence that they can do it again, has been personally very rewarding to see people grow. It's important to me. I came to Alfa with a 5-year plan. My wife and I were going to be here 5 years and we were moving on. That was 25 years ago. You fall in love with a company if you stay here long enough. And it's really important to me that this company's better when I leave than it was when I got here. And when you see people grow like that, you know you're handing it off at some point to folks better than you, and that's a good feeling. When you put technology in that allows the company to compete better, to put better products out, it makes you feel like you're part of making something better, and that's personally satisfying to me.